Hey there, everybody. Chris Franks with Texas West Capital. It's just after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time here on, October 19th. It's a Monday, 2020. San Antonio, Texas, guys. And, of course, you are wherever you all are in the world. Some of you all haven't already done your Monday stuff. Some of us, like myself, just kind of getting going here, midway through the day now. But anyway, hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully, this weekend you're paying attention to where the invalidation and validation levels were. As always with Discord, I let them know, hey, listen, if it goes above this level, then these are your targets here. If it goes below this level, then these are your targets here. And then secondary, we kind of give a count and maybe some idea of where price may be heading if it is, overall. But the count's always secondary to what we're looking at as far as the levels go there. So, hey there, Hank, French Bull, Zet, what's going on, man? I'm doing well, a little tired, but hopefully everything else goes all right. So I guess we'll take a look at Bitcoin and we'll take a look at the dollar here today. I don't know how some of I know not y'all, right? It's not y'all with the what is it called? The emotional jumping back and forth, right? Not y'all. But man, I look on Twitter sometimes, man, and it blows my mind. The minute price does anything, just a little bit of something, all of a sudden everybody's balls to the wall, whatever direction. All of a sudden it's mooning, all of a sudden it's dumping to Hades. That's so tiring. I don't know how you guys survive with that. How do you not get burned out? But anyway, here's the reality of the situation, guys. Again, we talked about it last week. First thing is market structure. We've got a high, we've got a lower high. We've got a high and a low, a lower high and a lower low. We're still below this. We're still with lower highs. That's your first thing. Now, just because it goes above that doesn't mean it's going to go up then, but it means it's got at least you can look at it as have more of a reason for it potentially to go higher. In terms of this right here, this retracement right here, right now we've just gone beyond the 70.5. We haven't even hit the 78.6. And notice that 78.6 is right here where all this stopping is, right here. The only time we've actually gone above this and closed above it was the 17th of August. And the 18th of August immediately shoved it right on back down, right? We can notice that that's why you got that R1 pivot right there. So that 78.6 is right there around the R1 pivot. Well, what's so important about the 78.6? Because it's a legitimate wave 2. Now, when you start pushing on beyond that, then it starts getting a bit questionable. When you get your 85.4, your 90%, then, it's still a wave 2, as long as it doesn't, violate where wave 1 started. But, you start to feel a bit, or you should be a bit more cautious about it. My way I think about it usually is, if it's getting above the 85.4, I'm usually thinking it's probably going to go further. It's not going to, it's not just a pullback. It's going to be a continuation through that point. But until that point, until that 85.4, there's still a great case to be made for it to be a pullback. So just make sure you guys are understanding instead of getting maybe seriously bullish, because here's the problem. Well, first of all, on the daily here, we've got this, we talked about this last week, this hidden bearish divergence. So we've got lower highs right here with price right now. We've got higher highs here with the oscillator. Now, this hidden bearish divergence becomes invalidated if price moves above this swing high right here, this 12,086 on Coinbase. So if you get above that, then this won't be anything to even think about. But as long as it's below that, pay attention to this. Also, notice the volume. The volume continues to remain down. It continues to drop. There is no expansive volume anywhere. It's just continuing to drop off. And not even just from this area up here, but all the way from, pull this all the way up here, all the way from that drop in March. Volume has continued to drop off, which isn't usually a very bullish sign, okay? So, if you are finding yourself getting emotionally bullish because of those silly songs by them silly people online, those Bitcoin songs, I don't know, man. Everybody's got their 5 minutes, I guess, but man. Or, with other people getting all bullish because it's what you want to hear Just be careful with that, guys. Always be sure to keep yourself in check. It doesn't mean it can't go up, but the difference is understanding that it isn't guaranteed it's going to go up. That's the difference. Because if you can't honestly accept that, then you're dealing wholly emotionally. And if it doesn't get you this time, it'll get you the next and the next and the next, So, you always want to be sure that you guys keep that in check. Hey there, Chris Day. Good to see you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Hey, LXT. Sparta Crypto checking in as well. But anyway, so yeah. Well, Hank, Hank, listen, just because I say something doesn't mean you always have to say the opposite, man. Seriously. I'm saying this because of what I just said, because all over Twitter, everybody is very bullish. If everybody's very bearish, I say the opposite. I say there's no guarantee it's going to continue to go down. But, gosh, don't have to always say the opposite when I say something. But I'm trying to keep people, their emotions in check. They're not emotionally bearish right now. People are emotionally bullish right now. And I'm trying to let them know that the structure does not say that at the moment. It could get there. But you got to keep yourself in check. You got to make sure that your guys aren't being emotional about it, okay? That's the whole thing. Hey, what's going on, Christian? Let's see here. But if people are moving Bitcoin away to cold storage and for a long time, shouldn't we see a decline in volume? Like we need less volume to move? Only if there was a decrease in supply. I mean, your assumption is that by the stuff that you're seeing moving off the exchange necessarily means there's less supply sitting there right now. And that isn't necessarily the case. And as we've seen, in the last few months, it easily can turn around and come back. We've seen points the last few months where a lot has been pulled off the exchanges, and then all of a sudden it comes right back on. So, you guys want to be careful. When it comes to on-chain stuff, guys, the thing that worries me about that, I like them. I like on-chain because it gives us a lot of information that we can use. The problem with it, though, is that people are starting to use that as, oh, this is definitely going to happen, rather than just using it for what it is, which it means is, at this time, this is what's going on. That's all the on-chain metrics tell you guys, is at this point, this is what's happening. They don't tell you what's going to happen. All they can tell you is what has happened up to that point. But I see a lot of people really using the basis for why things have to go up. And so, again, it doesn't mean it can't go up. I'm just saying, look at the reason for why you're doing it. If you're using those metrics to say, oh, then it has to go up. Well, that's usually when the market, bends you over. Again, I've been doing this long enough in enough, enough different markets to have had more, to have had my share of that happening. So, indicators and whatnot are great to let you know what has happened and what could potentially happen. But remember, potentially is just that, potentially. Never any guarantees on that, guys. So, yeah. But anyway, so there we go. That's what we got. Now, if we zoom in, well, before we zoom in a minute, let me talk about two things, guys. I just want to giving you a heads up of things, all right? First thing is 3-month here, 3-month Stochh RSI. Every time 3-month Stochh RSI gets up to this level, this 95, 97 level, it pulls back. Price pulls back, okay? So we had it up here, and price pulled back. We had it up here, price pulled back. We had it up here, price really went back. We had it up here, price pulled back. Again, up here, price went down. So just make sure that you guys are recognizing this. It doesn't mean the price has to reverse and make a new lower low, but I believe that it's saying that we should be preparing for a reversal or a pullback at least. So, the pullback's usually pretty significant. There was this point right here. Let me see. Okay, there's the top right there where it went up. See, it went up here a bit and then it pulled back. So you had this range here of 12,134 down to 10,546. So basically, $1,500, $1,600 And that was in a quick 3-day candle right there. But again, we're talking about decent pullbacks, $1,000 or so or more, at least. So, you can still be bullish here and accept that there's going to be a pullback. And we can even look at that here in a minute on the count, on a possible bullish count that we've got there. So that's the first thing there. The other thing is the monthly. Now, we've still got, almost 2 weeks till the end of the month. A little bit less than 2 weeks. But notice, we are in overbought here. And, usually when it's getting to this point around this, was that 91 there? 94, 100, 99. Yeah, so, usually when it's getting there about 90 or so, there's a bit of a pullback for a month. So, like, it gets to a 90 to 100, and it closes that month, and then it pulls back for the next month. So, again, that doesn't mean reversal, but it does mean usually, you get the pullback. You got it right over here. You got it right here. Oh, I'm sorry, right here. You got it right here for 2 months on the pullback right there. Of course, you had this full-on reversal up at this point, and then this full-on reversal at this point as well. But again, whether it's this month or next, we're probably within we've probably got at least a month of pullback, a lower low to come in here. So don't think it's going from here to 20,000 in the next month or two. It's probably not, most likely. All right. So that's just a heads up, guys, on what's going on there. Now, the monthly right now is looks like it's higher up than where the last month ended. But again, we've still got, a little bit less than 2 weeks. So we'll see how this turns out for the monthly. But this is just a heads up as we get toward the end of the month to keep in mind with the Stochh RSI and what's going on with that right there. Let me see here. So that's all that. Let's go ahead and zoom into the 1 hour here, though. And so we get into this one here. Let me see here. All right, so we got this move up through the pivot to the R1, and we're kind of sitting on the R1 at the moment. TD sequential gave us a 9 on the last hourly there. So we do have that at the moment to look at. We are sitting on top of resistance, though. But the 9, the 9 itself is at resistance. It starts way down here and just puts up right above resistance there. So, we consider it a 9 at resistance. Again, that does not guarantee price must turn down, but I'm telling you now, we're probably getting a pullback. And with as far as this went up here, I wouldn't be surprised to see it pulling all the way back down here toward this 11,500. Because if you look right here, we topped out on Stochh RSI. We're crossing bearishly right now, up and overbought. Up here on RSI, we hit a high of 86.82. So all these, these usual signs that that there is at least a pullback coming in, are coming right up here with a TD9 sell with, at resistance. So again, wouldn't be surprised at all to see it pulling back here. Now, if we're looking at actual counts, again, I've been kind of looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, which makes this an A, a B, and a C. And again, that means we haven't even hit the 78.6. We're right here at the high volume node overall. So, I know people out there, so bullish. It's definitely going. But let's be honest, guys. There's a lot of stuff saying here that it may not, right? And so that's what you need to keep in mind. Yes, it may, but here's the other thing. We're still within this channel. If this is going to go up, it has to break out of this channel impulsively. Continue up. So, if we're looking at this here, because I've told you, ABCs, zigzag corrections generally happen more or less within a channel. If it's a wave 3, you usually get that impulsive move out and continuation up. I put it way up here. It's not going way up here, but, so that's what you're looking for. But we don't have that yet. We have price within a channel here. And again, with everything else happening right there that we were discussing. So if I'm looking at this, now it's possible that you could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here as well. and this, working on a 5 here. The difference in these is that if this is if this is bullish, this has to be a 1-2, and this is probably a 3-4 right here. My issue with that is that right here, let me see if I can find it here. We don't get a 1618 until up here at 12,364. Could this be a short 3 at less than 1.236? Sure, potentially. Could it maybe be a 1-2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Sure, potentially. But that's where you're going to have to look for, there's no way to know for sure right now whether it is or not. You've got to get down here below where they start, to kind of confirm that that's done. So there are some possible bullish counts on here. If this is correct, this A, B, and then C here, then looking at 1, 2, that gives us a wave 3 here above the 1618. That's sharp. That's good. I like that. It sets up well. If we look at the wave 3 pullback, let me see here. I keep looking at my, making sure that I'm still recording here because my USB hub went out this morning as I was trying to do an update video for Discord right before we did the live stream, and it was my video locked up and wouldn't record anymore. So anyway, let's flip this around here. All right. So now, as you can see here, we have the 38.2 on the pullback. It's a legitimate way forward where we'd normally look. So far so good. We got a 3 at 1618. We got a 4 here at 38.2. And so then we look for 5. And 5. We're looking for 61.8. 61.8's up here right around 12,050. It's the R2 pivot here on the 1 hour. It's just above the R1 pivot here on the daily. So right around that area would make sense. However, we can zoom in and get 5 out of what we're looking at here. Remember, if 5 doesn't have to hit the 61.8, that's just usually where we look for it. It just has to be 5 waves advancing above wave 3. And so we've actually got that here. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a leading diagonal here. And so we've got a, pull it right over there, we go. We've got a 1, 2, and then we've got a 3, 4, and then we've potentially got a 5 up here. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe. We'll see. Again, overextending, subdividing, going straight up. Anything can happen there. Now, my biggest concern about this, any idea of this continuing up from here with at least a decent pullback, is the fact that all weekend long we had this right here. So during the weekend we have this. And you say, but Chris, man, that's bullish. Look, price is going higher. And I say, maybe, but look at what you have. It's all overlapping. There's no impulsiveness in here. This is all very small candles overlapping on low volume. And then all of a sudden, there's this thrust up here at the end. And these thrusts like this usually are exhaustion moves. When you have things like this where you have these very small candle spreads overlapping, very little upward movement at a time, no impulsiveness, and you've got this lower volume happening there. Usually, that's the case. The other thing we can look at here is we can look and we go, man, look at where this volume, look at where the volume spikes are coming in. This spike of volume here, this one right here, and then of course, on this bit of this move here. As far as this goes, we look at this right here as it's moving up, and you see that you've got about the same candle spread and quite a bit more volume. So it's taking more effort to get up there. So we're showing you that there's more supply coming in. Importantly are these two candles right here, which it's near, it's pulled off a bit, but the difference in candle spread is huge. So you've got this large candle spread, this very, very small candle spread here. But volume is much closer to the same than what the candle spread is there. Again, suggesting that there's a lot of effort going into moving this up. So, we're going to continue to watch this here as it plays out. But, the straight up movement, all this volume at the end here. And then when you put that in with everything else, we're looking at the TD9 resistance, 70.5 to 78.6 retracement. The fact you can get, an ABC up, all that fun stuff. It makes me think that we've at least got a pullback, if anything. And so if you're bullish, to me, what that means is, like I said, you could maybe look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't be a big fan of that. I think you would look at this as a 1, 2, 1, 2 maybe. And so that just means you've got a little bit closer area to look for some confirmation. So if this is it reverses off here, and this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, we should be looking for price to get back here around this red line. That's at 61.8 at 10.782 to 65 right there at 10.728, 70.5 right there at 10.630. So at least a move back here toward this red line. That'll get you 1, 2, 1, 2. Now the problem is if you're getting beyond that, now you're dropping below this channel support. And what we have here is we have movement. We have an ABC up here within the channel support, or within the channel itself. So if our first move is to decline through the support, that should have you looking a lot more at this being an ABC than a 1, 2, 3 or a 1, 2, 1, 2. You understand why I'm saying that? Because as long as we remain within this channel here, if we're moving down through the bottom of it, that really should have you opened up to the idea that we're probably heading down to a new lower low. Now, again, even that's not bearish, guys. That could be simply an A, a B, and then a C to fill in that 95, 9600 gap there in CME and then head up. Or it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still to go to complete A. You got a B and a C. Nobody can tell you right here what it is definitively. So we look at the most bullish scenario, I think, right now, which is, possibly this is a 1, 2, 1, 2. And so we'll look for a reversal off this. And you want to see a decline below the pivot to give you your first clue. And then you want it below this wave 4 swing low here at 11,201 to kind of confirm that top's likely in. And again, in that case, if this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, you really don't want to see price dropping below this swing low. So unless this drops way down here pretty quick, let's see, today's 19th, the next 2 days or so gets way the heck down here, about $1,000. You start running the risk that you're going to hit that 61 or whatever beyond the bottom of the support of that channel there. I mean, again, if you want to look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, a little bit different. You'd look for a decline down here toward this area. It's kind of messy. It doesn't look like it makes a whole lot of sense. You're getting a node, but the node's happening between levels. See if we can get a little bit more information here. See this node right here? It's not even happening at the 78.6, and that's kind of concerning as far as a proper count goes. Usually you're going to get these nodes at your important fib levels. So you've got it up here, not even around anything, between the 50 and the 61.8. And so that's questionable when you're looking at that. If we zoom out here a bit more, again, you've got this big node, but this big node comes between the 70.5 and the 78.6 here on that. This should come at the 70.5 or the 78.6. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we get a little bit, again, price may go up a little bit further. I wouldn't be surprised to see it reaching up here toward this, almost 12,000 area. But if we see this decline right here down through the pivot before then we should be looking for that downside. toward initially toward this 10.6, 10.700 area to begin with. Let me see here. Hey, what's going on, Data? Good to see you. CKK, what's going on? Given a few gaps there, they're still unfilled. Zed says low volume, low volatility chop is always bullish. Bitcoin doesn't need real demand to go higher. Just kidding. The Bakai says supply has been drying up a lot. How do you define on exchanges? He says, I guess you just mean that supply is moving off the exchange, if that's what you mean. Yeah, but again, that all that tells you is what's going on at the moment and what that could mean, but it doesn't guarantee it. Because as I said, over the last, since most of this year, actually, you've been able to see it where there's been multiple times where a lot of supplies left the exchange and then came back all of a sudden on there. So be real careful in using that as the definitive, supplies leaving the exchange, so we're definitely going up type thing. You don't want to do that. You can look at it as a possibility, sure. But be careful with that. Because it's not that supply is drying up. All you need is supply in relation to demand. That's why price is able to push up. Let me see here. What I was just talking about this weekend. Let me zoom in a bit here again. When you're looking at this weekend, you've got this nonsense right here. This very, again, it's just tiny little candles overlapping each other left and right, very low volume. But price still went up. It doesn't mean that there's a lot of demand or anything in there. It just means there's a bit more demand than supply. That's all it means. Just a bit more than supply. So, again, if price, again, I think the problem with a lot of what's going on with Bitcoin is that people spend so much time looking at the supply side of everything and not looking at the demand side. They assume everybody wants to buy. They assume everybody sees the same things they do or believes the same things they do. And the reality of it is most people don't. Most people with money don't. Now there's a growing cohort of people that are believing this. And that's great. That's what we need. But the reality of it is most people still don't feel that way. And we have to absolutely be honest with ourselves about that. Because if not, what are you doing? Who cares? It doesn't matter what's going on the supply side if you don't have any demand there. Supply could dwindle to next to nothing. But if your demand is just a tick lower, guess what? Price is dropping. So you guys have to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Don't get sucked into this whole supply side is everything nonsense that non-economists keep talking about here on crypto Twitter. And a lot of it's put up there by that Plan B nonsense, that stock to flow thing. Again, I was kind of excited about that at first when I saw it, and I kind of delved into it and looked at it and noticed that all that was taken into consideration was new supply. It wasn't taking into consideration previous supply. It wasn't taking into consideration demand, anything like that. All it's talking about is newly created supply. That's it. And if you want to be honest when you're looking at it, you can't just look at that. Because again, you have to have demand in there as well. Just newly created supply doesn't tell you anything about anybody else putting supply out there. All the supply that's already been minted that could easily come out. And I know you guys, you want to be very bullish. You'll say, nobody's going to do that. Nah, MicroStrategy, they're in it for the long haul. They're never going to offload. And all those other companies, Square, they're not going to offload. No, they're not going to. We want to believe that, guys. And that's a great thing to think about. And hopefully they won't. But we sure as heck don't know. And if you've got a company that's a publicly traded company and they're putting Bitcoin on their books and Bitcoin dives, don't think for a second those companies won't consider getting rid of their Bitcoin or that their boards of directors won't, force them to. Because if you have money in a company and it's losing money, that means your value is lost. If you're in a company at $150 a share and their value of their company drops because Bitcoin's dropping, next thing you know, you've got $100 a share, not 150. You lost 50% or 50%. You lost 33%. Yeah, you're going to be, if you're a larger holder, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on the board to do something about that because you bought it so that it would go up. So don't let your, emotions blind you to the realities of what's going on here. And this becomes very important, as what's going on. Again, everybody wants to believe that the stock market's doing well, guys. There's so many reasons why it's not. I posted another link on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter there, guys, TX West Capital, and check it out by macro charts. It's great, a lot of great information, but shows you a lot of reason to be cautious right now as far as the stock market goes. Mentions some of the things that I've mentions other things as well. But the reality of it is, like Gerardo's saying right there, lots of companies with bills to pay, but he says they accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. He said the second I saw that, I laughed at the S2F model. But yeah, here's the thing, guys. But first of all, companies have bills to pay. And if the economy drops off again, or continues its drop off is what it would be, what do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're really going to hold on to Bitcoin? And if you say yes, you really need to take a step back and take a deep breath and check your emotion. Because remember, these are guys who are jumping into Bitcoin right now because they expect it's going to go up. They hope it's going to go up. And they're making a lot of noise about it to get everybody excited, to get people to buy in so it does go up. What Michael Saylor is doing over there at MicroStrategy, that's all about getting you excited and other people excited, get more people to buy in. That's what that's about. Because if it doesn't, it causes problems. And if the economy starts tearing off, that causes an even larger problem. So these companies that come in, and if Bitcoin isn't doing the move up that they needed to do, they won't hesitate to offload it, guys. Now that doesn't mean they're going to offload it into directly into the market. They might. Maybe they might be able to find somebody willing to buy it, however much they're trying to sell. But nonetheless, all of a sudden your reason for being so bullish, which is, this company got involved in it, is no longer valid. And then what, right? You guys got to think beyond the nose in your face, guys. You got to think further out. Let's see here. Do I think that these companies are able to keep Bitcoin price from dropping? No, not at all. Not at all. That's like saying, don't I think that the Fed can keep the stock market from dropping? No. If the stock market is bearish, if people have lost faith in what's going on in the economy and whatnot, I can't imagine. I still can't figure out a scenario wherein the government, the Fed even, can come in and make the market go up. Again, guys, I keep telling you, with that, it's all about getting you to do it. You're the workhorse. You have to go in and buy it and continue to buy and continue to overspend. It's no different with Bitcoin. They're not going to, I think you guys sometimes think more along, most of the time think more along the lines of your personal experience, your personal thoughts, rather than as a business. Businesses have laws they have to follow, guys. In most countries, there's some sort of, or most, westernized countries, there's some sort of fiduciary type duty, which means basically those in charge can't be doing things that are gonna, that have a good chance of screwing up, of costing their shareholders to lose money. They have to have their shareholders' best interest at heart. They can't do what they want to do because they want to do it. And so, if the price is dropping, this company thinks, I'm just going to buy more to try and prop up the market. No. Because at some point there, they've got boards of directors and whatnot. If they're publicly held companies, they've got boards of directors. And those directors will yank them out of that seat real quick. They won't be CEO anymore. Happens all the time. Jobs got removed as CEO of Apple. You guys might remember that if you're old enough, back in the, 80s, early 90s. And then, of course, he made his way back. But, it happens all the time, guys. Let me see here. What's going on, Sean? Good to see you. Let me see here. But yeah, so and then of course, so is it just that they're going to do that? No, no. I mean, what good does it do them? And you think, okay, well maybe they'll just buy up a whole bunch so they own a lot of it. They own most of it. Well, we know that doesn't work in markets. Look at what the Hunt brothers did to silver back in the early 80s. They cornered the market on silver and it tanked. You can't just have one person. I mean, because at that point, I tell you what, if somebody just cornered the market on Bitcoin, I wouldn't be interested in it. Not at all. Why would you? That'd be the dumbest move in the world. You want a market that's competitive, with a lot of players in it. When it starts getting concentrated in one hand, it becomes they can do what they want with it. And it becomes worthless, basically. So, yeah. But no, I don't think that they're able to keep Bitcoin price from dropping. No. If the market wants it to, if the market's not interested, if the market's concerned, the market's going to be concerned. The other thing we have to think about, what happens to, if the economy continues to go down, what happens to people who are losing their jobs or being laid off, being temporary furloughed, taking a pay cut, people that are graduating from college and whatnot, they can't get jobs. And if they get jobs, guess what? They're getting McDonald's jobs and whatnot. So what happens to the people that don't have, a few dollars to rub together? Then they're out of jobs. And guess what? A lot of the people that are buying into Bitcoin are the lower end of the financial IQ level. I say level. How do I say this? They're the ones that aren't as well versed in the markets and whatnot. They're at the lower end of that. They're a lot of the ones that are buying this. It's their hope. It was like the Robin Hood for stocks. They're hoping that it makes them money. They're gambling. So what happens if the economy's going down and they don't have that money to add into it anymore? See, again, guys, I think a lot of times those of us here in crypto, we tend to get caught up in our own thoughts of what's going on, in our own expectations and our own beliefs. But we have to understand that if you're in crypto, you're in the minority as far as those beliefs go, guys. Most of the people in the world do not believe the way you do about cryptocurrency, about Bitcoin. You have to understand that. Because if you think they do believe the same things as you, then you're going to expect the same things that you think you would do in their situations. But then you're going to get let down because that won't happen for the most part. Let me see here. Gerardo says, too many other speculative assets to play with if someone ever completely corners a market. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it comes to Bitcoin, guys, you have to remember the other thing is, it's still an outlier asset, guys. It's still nothing mainstream. So most companies or most large players, if they're looking at it, they're going to have a choice between Bitcoin or Forex or whatever else, emerging markets, something like. I mean, they're going to have all these other choices, and they're going to usually, most often, they're going to go to the thing that's been around a while. They're going to go to the things they're comfortable with. Not something new and unproven. But Chris, it's been 10 years, man. Look, it just keeps going up. That's nothing. That's nothing in terms of being proven. Again, Bitcoin has never been in any type of recession or anything like that. So nobody knows how it's going to play out. Now, I say all this, and if you're new, you might go, oh my gosh, he's just so bearish on Bitcoin. He just doesn't get it. Oh no, I get it, guys. I get it. And I'm actually pretty bullish on Bitcoin. I think overall it's going to be a great thing. It's just, I have my questions about the current timing right now with everything that's going on. Because of what I know about, economics and all these different things, as far as what's going on with the world. So, we'll see. And of course, my experience, living through that a few times, in other markets. So it doesn't mean that I think that Bitcoin's going to die off. It could. Sure, it could. I've always said that. You shouldn't be in Bitcoin if or in any cryptocurrency, if you can't afford to lose that money, guys. It could die off at any minute. Again, it doesn't have that proof. It's only been, alive in a bull market, basically. So, anything can still happen with it. Let's go ahead and check here at the DXY here. And again, guys, I'm not here to dissuade your hopes or anything. Again, like I said, overall, I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin. I'm just concerned in this current area where we're at with everything. And I can definitely see, based on the way I look at the markets, there's definitely a significant reason why it could head down to where it could, shake people out. Get down there around that 3,000 or less level. Yeah. But in my view, that's just a temporary move along the way. But I guess that's where I'm different than, most of who you're going to find on crypto Twitter, because they're all just bullish to be bullish because they want it to be true. I want it to be true, but not to the point that I'm going to ignore the reality or possibilities, that may be going on there. Hey there, Leighton. Good to see you checking in, man. Let's see here. What's going on with dollar? Dollar's still not doing its thing yet. It still hasn't popped up through, so we're still, questionable on it. If I look at this here as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you may A, B. We may be working on a C here. If that's the case, right now we've dipped down just above the 78.6, right above the S1 pivot here on the 1 hour. You can see we dipped down into oversold here on the 1 hour. Same thing with Stochh RSI. Do we have further to go? Maybe. The 4 hour didn't reset, which not that it has to, but it didn't. So, but I am kind of watching that a bit there. It's getting a bounce right off this previous area of support here, though, at the moment. Stochh RSI is down here just about bottomed out and oversold. Daily, daily's kind of just sitting here just on the bearish side. I mean, just on the bearish side of neutral. Stochh RSI, of course, neutral. No, I'm sorry, just on the bullish side of neutral. So, we could potentially see it here. We're sitting right here on, at the pivot. So we can see here and then a pull up and off. We're on that daily pivot. So still waiting to see how this plays out here. I don't think that this is valid. Let's see here. I don't think this is going to be a valid way to look at it as a head and shoulders here. Inverse. If it bounces from there, I mean, maybe, I guess. Yes, it's a small shoulder compared to a much larger shoulder. Yeah, you start getting that whole idea of that they're really not similar, and you're really looking for similarity a lot of times in these. But if it does, you expect to see some strong candles moving on out of it, and pushing on up. Again, guys, right now I'm still looking for a breakout of this channel resistance to kind of say, okay, this is probably the bottom. But not only do we need that, but then we definitely need a move above this swing high up here, because right now this is still 3 waves. So again, this could potentially be 3, 4, and working on 5 down here. Get a bit lower here, maybe in the 91s. So we'll see how this goes here. As long as it remains above this swing low right here at 93.005, the count remains valid. If it drops below that, again, we talked about the idea that maybe we can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of this. For the same reasons, I'm not a big fan of the head and shoulders. I'm not really a big fan of this 2 and this 4, but I would believe that that's probably more likely than the Head and Shoulders there, just because of the symmetry thing there, and just we often see, these tiny little moves. I don't know. It really looks like a 1, 2, 3 here, but it is different. You can get 5 out of that, and when you count, you can get it. So if that's the case, excuse me, then we could see this moving down to the 70.5s down here at 92.63, the 78.6 down here at 92.388. So we could come down to that area as a 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then A, B, C. Come down here as a 2 and still get support off this ascending support line and head back up. So a lot of possibilities still in that. No guarantees on what's going on at the moment yet, though. We're still kind of waiting to see, is it going to get up here? We're looking for some impulsiveness that we get every so often, but not enough yet. We're looking for some continuation up on that. But again, if we get above this, then we've definitely got a 1, 2, 3, from this area here, we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. Or like I have it here, a 1, 2, 1, 2. Still set up there. Hey there, Off Main. Always good to see you, bud. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at the moment here. We'll see how this plays out. Again, closer to a bottom on the dollar than not, even on those larger time frames. Stocks reacting a lot more poorly, to the dollar this morning than, immediately this morning than what Bitcoin did. Bitcoin kind of went up. And even on some of the indexes, they gapped up a bit, but then immediately retraced it all back down within like a half hour of the advance there in the open. So yeah, we got to see, first of all, do we drop below this R1 pivot? If we can get down below that, there's nothing really here to hold it. It should at least come on down here toward the pivot. We'll lose the pivot and that 4 right there. We should be looking for this S1, which tags here. If we lose this wave 4 here, well, then I'd be looking for the S2, potentially the support here. If we lose that channel support, I mean, to me, there's not a whole lot to be bullish about if you're losing this channel support here from this point. I would expect to move down, retracement to recheck supporters resistance, and then continuation down to a new low. But again, even if it does, again, this could just be an A and a B and a C down toward 95, 9600 to kind of fill in that, or 9100 to fill in that CME gap there, 95, 9600. But there's also the possibility, if it continues on through that impulsively, that this is just 1 and a 2, and that would be a 3 on a way to a 5 to get you an A. So stop being emotional with everything, guys, and don't ignore people who are saying something different. Again, guys, your biggest challenge as a trader is overcoming your own emotions. You are your own worst enemy when it comes to trading, because we want things to be the way we want them. And so we tend to ignore those things that say something different. That doesn't mean you have to listen to somebody if it makes no sense at all. But you have to be honest with yourself. Do you have the requisite knowledge as far as what they're talking about to conclude that they're just idiots? Or, do you not? And if you don't, then you need to be careful. Because if you honestly don't, and see, this is a big problem. Traders, they tend to be overly confident about what they can do, and they don't give enough reality check to what they can't do. And, that just keeps getting them there to keep throwing money into the market blindly. And you don't want to do that. So, I mean, if you're doing this, guys, again, I'm not here to convince you that I'm right or that anybody else is wrong or whatever. I'm here to help you kind of get beyond those things that you may not even know are holding you back. And one of the most important things of that is your emotion. You've got to be aware of what you do and don't know. You have to be aware, because at times, if you're trading in the markets, often what we do as new traders in the market is, again, we buy something and we expect it to go up, because if it goes up, then it gets further away from our entry, which means it's more safe, right? Now we're in profit, so we're good, right? Until it gets in profit, we're scared, right? And so if somebody comes up and says something opposite of what we believe emotionally, then we tend to ignore them and we tend to not pay attention. We tend to close them off. We discount them. We don't listen. We go the other way. We block our ears. But again, you're not doing yourself any favors if you're doing that. You're just giving money to people like myself and others out there. You don't want to do that. It's really important you guys, get that understood, and you don't do that to yourselves. So that way you can be successful and you can continue to trade well. And you can, heaven forbid, if something happens to the economy, like I still continue to expect, being able to trade is going to be something that's going to save your rear end potentially. And so I think the important thing is to, if your head's in your rear end, to get it out of your rear end, when it comes to emotions. Again, guys, I keep telling you, this is nothing I haven't been through myself. So, that's why I can talk about it like I do, because, I've been there. I know exactly what it's like. And even if you don't admit it right now, the reality is this is what it is. So hopefully you're listening, hopefully you're paying attention and you work on that, because it'll be one of the best things you can do for any kind of long-term, staying as a trader for any long amount of time. Why is the bullish case for the DXY more likely? Let's see here. Why is it more likely than what? Than going down? Because we're pretty close here. Pretty close to oversold again on the 4-hour. Whoops. Daily here, we're pretty close again to it. That's all. But again, even if it does, head on down there, you're probably just looking at the 91s here. Maybe, 90.955 or something. I mean, even if it gets down here to 89.5, basically, it's still not that far. It's a pretty close, reversal. And so, overall, DXY isn't in a terrible place. But why locally? Because again, where we are with the daily and the 4-hour RSI, that's all. But again, it still has to do its thing. It still has to get. First step is to get above this descending resistance. If you get above this descending resistance, I don't think there's really a whole lot to say for why it would be bearish, because again, that's the resistance that's been there since the top of the move down. So it's been there since March. If we zoom out here, that channel resistance right there. So, again, a breakout of this should be, hey, you know what? All things considered, we are very much most likely bottomed out here. But then we need an advance above. If you're looking at Elliott Wave, you really need to advance above that swing high right there at that 94, 94.742 to again give you a pretty clear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. I still see this right now as a 1, 2, 1, 2. So to me, it'd be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gives you a 3, 4, 5 moving up there. But, as long as it doesn't get above this, line here, that keeps it as a, a good chance. There's still a good chance it can go lower. It still keeps you open to that possibility of moving further down. Yeah. That's my current thoughts on gold. I still see it. I haven't seen anything different from what I've seen. So, from what I've been talking about, I haven't changed my mind any. So, still looking for it to head down. We'll take a look at that on Friday and see how that looks. But for right now, again, same thing. No changes really. Still looking for it to head down. I don't see any reason to be overly pumped about it or anything at the moment with anything that's going on. Peter Schiff's going to keep talking to you about how ETFs have just put in records amount of money into gold. Yeah, they do, and yet it's going nowhere, right? Think about it. I saw something recently here where Peter Schiff put out something about the last few months, all these record inflows of money into gold through ETFs, into gold ETFs, and yet gold continues to drop. So that's not a good sign. Again, it's not just bullish that people are buying if there's more supply out there coming at them. Then the demand coming in. Just like the idea that supply is dwindling doesn't mean a whole lot if there isn't demand there to take it. And the problem with that demand there, as far as, like I said, Bitcoin goes, is that Bitcoin is still a very what's the word I was using? A very speculative asset. Still very new. So there isn't a lot of buy-in. That doesn't really have to be because it's still pretty small. But, it goes beyond the whole, just there's less supply and less supply, so that means price is going to go up. No. Because if people stop buying, it doesn't matter how much supply you do or don't have, right? I mean, am I right? If you've got X amount of supply and there's no demand, price isn't going to go up, is it? Because nobody's buying it. If you have X amount of supply and Y supply to Y amount of demand, and that demand is less than that supply that's on the market, coming in the market, guess what? Price is going to go down. It doesn't matter that there's less and less supply being created. You have to have buy-in, guys. What am I? As long as who doesn't get arrested. Hey there, Sylvia. Good to see you checking in. So, anyway, there you go, guys. That's what I've got. So, we'll check it out again on Wednesday. Check back with me. I will be here this Wednesday. I don't have any reason not to be here. 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll check back and see what's going on with the markets there. As always, you can join us at howtotradetowin.com. We'd love to have you there, guys. Howtotradetowin.com. There it is at the top of our thing up here. Way up there. But anyway, guys, you know what? At the end of the day, it's just about keeping your emotions in check. It's about making sure that you're not getting caught up, especially if you're online. It's easy to get caught up with what goes on with crypto Twitter and everybody getting excited. And like I said, all the silly songs and stuff going on there. And people who are prominent in the space talking very bullishly about it. But again, you have to remember, most of them, especially in the latter case, are in a much better position than you are. And they've also got different goals and whatnot than you, most likely. Everybody's got an agenda, guys. You got to be careful out there. So, just do what you can to get your emotions under control. And, be more logical about it. Look at it. Make sure you understand what's going on with the market structure and what's going on with the possibilities and your resistances and your supports and your validation and your invalidation levels. As long as you're doing that, you'll have a good chance of coming out better off than when you went in. But it's, easier said than done, right? All right, guys. Y'all have a great day. Thanks a lot for checking in with us. Those of y'all in Discord, we'll see you over there in a bit. Everybody else, if we don't see you joining us prior to Wednesday, I guess we'll see you Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all take care, guys, all right? And remember, the only thing you control in the market is how much you lose. That's it. It's all about that risk management. Y'all take care.